Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 2 of the Icon Presents podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Haynes, and I am joined by the amazing and talented Zander from Zander 6 Comix. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, man. Thank you for having me here.
Hey, man, I'm excited about this, man.
Yes, sir.
We were just talking so much about comics and everything that you got going on, so I'm excited for our audience to kind of get a little bit of insight on this.
Most definitely, man. Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm beyond excited and honored.
Man, you got a lot going on, so you got a lot to be excited about. We'll dive into it, but man, you got that positive trajectory. It is going up, man. It's about to be a lot of fun.
Thank you, bro.
So, like, just in case you guys missed it, I met up with Zander at LA Comic-Con recently. And we talked about, you had your character Z, you got your buddies and your artwork and everything. You were telling me about your inspirations and meeting Todd McFarlane and comic industry vets. So for those that may have missed it, share with us a bit of your story.
All right, man. Well, I think it always starts for me in the very beginning, as far as leaving everything behind after high school, just leaving the mentality behind that I had and deciding to start a new, fresh, start with something that was always a part of me, which was the art. Mm-hmm. I went away for it for a long time because it just wasn't in line for what I thought I wanted to do and be. Mm-hmm. It never left me. When you're creative, it's a curse if you don't do it, especially if you don't do it.
You always be looking back at like, oh man, I wish I had done this. Oh man, I wish I had done that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you know that you want to create it. Whether you could have done it as good as something that you see, right? You go, man, that'd be so amazing to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I had that feeling just kind of ooze out of me at a certain age. It was right around 18 going into 19. And I really said, I'm going to just become an artist. Mm-hmm. I saw Frank Miller talking about the Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. And he was like, my conditions was I get to stay at home. Yeah. And I'm going to draw with my number 2 pencil. Don't have me do anything outside of what I do. Okay. My number 2 pencil and the idea of being at his home office. I don't want to go in anywhere. I'm going to be here, fax it to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was like, he's a seasoned vet. Right. And I was inspired by that. Like, that's what I want to do right now. Yeah. Now, mind you, it doesn't just happen overnight because you go, that's awesome. I want to do that. Right. But I promise you, that was the thing that I saw that I go, wow, what a simple thing to be like grateful for. If I was grateful for him. Right. And so I was like, what a simple thing. Just like, I get to be at home creating stuff. Yeah. And it has this Dark Knight graphic novel impact. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Something that is iconic. Right. So when you look back at it and, of course, he's thinking, he's, like you said, he's a seasoned vet at this point now. But when you're looking back at that and that entire storyline, my gosh, it changed the way that people saw Batman. Yep. And that's so monumental to have such an impact on characters like that. And so it's an appreciation that I assume, obviously, you as an artist, as a comic book artist, can appreciate when you do have the opportunity and you're working with these creatives and these characters that were like shaped generations. And those are, I don't remember who exactly it was. It might have been Stanley, but somebody was talking about how this is what we replace, our Greek mythology and all that kind of stuff in those, or those various stories that, the folklore that we, in centuries ago, that stories that were told,
this is what we tell the Spider-Mans, the Batmans, the Supermans, and all that kind of stuff. And those stories are what inspire generations.
Exactly.
And it's an amazing thing.
Exactly. That's why, when I hear Jack Kirby's New Gods, I don't even focus on the particular characters, though I know them for the New Gods. I look at Jack Kirby created the New Gods out of, first of all, his career in comic books. He was a part of creating the foundation of what this was, alongside individuals like a Stan Lee visionary. You have to have visionaries, you have to have creatives, you have to have creatives who are visionaries. Right. So when he had that in DC, the New Gods, to me, as someone who sees their career from all of it in one, I go, that was the era when it changed. Yeah. This is the new gods. This is the artists, the creatives. We are the new wave. I got you. Old comic books, old ways of telling stories is over. Yeah. This is the new era. And so I think that it changed from that moment on. 100%. Yeah. 100%. You saw it go through different waves, because I remember, or I'll put it this way, I was born in the 90s, and a lot of these characters and these stories were told, started off in the 70s, 80s, and all that kind of stuff. Well, prior to that, but I'm talking about when they had the big booms and they became these iconic things that were gaining so much traction. And it was still kind of in a niche bubble. I remember before the MCU and, big Hollywood productions for superhero films, it was still pretty much a niche thing. If you were into comics and you were in school, you were getting bullied around because they were about to be like, oh, look at this nerd. Yeah. But now it's a thing where everybody wants to be into comics, and and that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it brings more attention and it gives more people opportunity, and you get a vast variety of different stories. So I love watching when independents come out and they say, hey, I write horror comics. There's this one girl, I can't even think of her name right now, but I have her on my Instagram page, and my gosh, her artwork's absolutely beautiful. And it's just all horror and detective comics on that. And I'm like, man, it's a ton of fun. Or mystery comics, I'll say. Detective comics, that already exists. But the mystery in the comics, it was so much fun. So you get a nice variety of things. For sure. So with that being said, let's talk about your characters and what you got going on. You got the character Z. We got a lot of Z going on here. I got him sitting right there. Yes, sir. Tell me about her. Most definitely, man. Yeah, to add to that first question, is the next wave of energy for me coming from selling my stuff at the swap meet, street markets, and everything else in between. It was the moment I decided to create Z. And Z was out of desperation because I want to have comic books, but I'm not a writer. Okay. But I have creative ideas and I have stories. I just don't write them that way. I write my thoughts and ideas. I'm a journaler. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. But I don't fantasy write. Okay. And so this kind of had to be me. First and foremost, my first character that's going to come out into the world, he has to be Z. Okay. He's got to be me. Gotcha. So how do I interpret that? Well, I think when you kind of look at the journey and how it starts, that's why I point to this rug, is because he's meditating on top of a mountaintop, but really it's his brain. Okay. And when I had to have that aha moment when I was 18 years old to go and just start doing something with my art. Yeah. It started with trying to make album covers for my brother for his art, his rap career. Okay. And so then he evolved into, I want to make a comic book. But then I went away from that idea because I let things get in the way. Right. So by the time I wrap around here, this is about 2 years from this year, going on 3, I decided to activate Z. And what was that? It was a journey within. He's meditating here in front of this green moon, which is an indicator of why you see the green. It's an indicator of real reality. Okay. This is his power source. So Z manifests anything he wants to manifest into reality. Okay. So he's in space, but really he's within. He's not a spaceman. I just don't want to have to draw something that you fall in love with and go, oh, that's this guy. No, he's you. When you open this book, it's literally your journey to whatever it is that the end goal for your life is. Okay. This is your journey. Okay. You don't get to see his face. You don't get to see what he is or what, you know what I mean? Anyone can say he's a robot. He's an alien. He's a person. He's a woman under there. You don't know. You don't know. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's I'm just a reflection. And so when I decided to become a reflection of greatness for people, my character decided to create itself through art. That how I did it was so random.
Yeah.
I was drawing something that inspired me from a friend who creates music, but he's got like this astronaut vibe where it's like out of space, and a lot of producers have that astronaut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They are in their spaceship with their motherboard, like, you know, like that room over there. That's the motherboard. That's the spaceship.
Yeah.
So I drew literally the most basic astronaut that I could muster up to draw.
Okay.
And the first design was him doing the peace sign. And it was like an accident. It's like, oh, this is kind of tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be an album cover for this friend. Yeah. But it ended up evolving into something because I got very personal with it. I was drawing and I'm going like, this is me, I think. Because I didn't draw someone. I just drew something that was like inspiring from a piece of music that I heard.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my cousin used to tell me all the time. He was like, you can always tell, or he said, what was it? He said you could tell who would do a piece of artwork because oftentimes people would basically insert themselves into that artwork.
Right.
And so then you'll be like, hey, this kind of looks like you or whatever. I remember I showed him back when I used to do more artwork. I got into graffiti art a lot. Right. And so I had my tag was called Psycho Ink.
Oh, okay.
And it, you know, I had my throw up and everything.
I think I've seen you out
character. No, I'm good. But so it was Psycho Ink, and it was all my artwork was always very colorful. And so then my characters, I'd have them like, they'd be like dripping with colors. It'd be like these characters that kind of like look kind of like crazy in the face, like psychotic in the face. And then they'll be like making some move and their hands would just be sitting there dripping with different colors and different things like that. And I remember I showed him a piece and he was like, you know, this looks like you, right? And I was like, what? Right. He was like 100%. This is you. And I was like, he was like, and you could tell that that's basically the way I kind of was inserting that or creating that character based off of how I felt about myself.
Right.
What kind of things I wanted to see. Exactly. With it. And it's like, man, that's a cool thing with that. So when you're creating characters like that. So you've gone on this amazing journey with Z, and you have a book coming out soon, right?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit about that.
So for Z, the comic book is called A Journey Through Art. And I think that's the reason why I feel like it's impossible to tell you guys the journey that I had to get here, because it would be this long drawn out rant that would end up being over here and over here. And so Z for me is actually my attempt to give you the moment I saw the light and star that showed me my pathway was the moment my journey started. And that's why it starts with him meditating like this. Yeah. He's just on a journey to that star, that light. Oh, that was beautiful. Let me go see what that's like over there. Okay. Trying to get to the other side of the rainbow in some aspect. Yeah. Well, he's just trying to become the star and not the one on Hollywood Boulevard, more like the real kind. Right. So that's the essence of the story is he is an artist. He's not a superhero. He doesn't save anyone. He's saving himself by having this journey that starts within. Oh, yeah. So he's literally the best artist that has ever walked this earth. He could do anything. And we're not talking about just drawing, painting. We're talking about singing, dancing. Okay. You know what I mean? Rapping, writing. He can cook. He can do anything that an artist would need to be able to do. Gotcha. To be an artist. And so it's actually my attempt to also show people themselves, show people that they have the energy within them. I'm telling people about how I'm going to take the pyramids to Comic-Con. Okay. And sometimes people don't even register it. Sometimes people go, dude, that's dope. Because really it's an energy thing. Okay. You have to feel it. You have to understand what you are. Okay. And for me, the pyramids is an indicator of existence. Okay. Pyramids everywhere, all over this world. Right. That's existence. It doesn't matter how it was made. It doesn't matter when it was made, even though we are always continuously trying to figure it out
where they came from.
This one was made right here. That pyramid that you're going to see at the Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
When you walk into it and it's a big ass store and it's all independent artists, all legends, and it's all people that understand that this was something bigger than just myself. This was all of us. It's going to represent that. So when I say the pyramids at Comic-Con, it means I'm bringing the energy that makes people feel like they should be here instead of like how consumerism is.
I got you.
Kind of not fighting it, but also making something that is worth it.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Something that you feel you can attach yourself to a bit more. So I like it. I like it a lot. So tell me, so you were sharing with me a little bit earlier, and as we've talked about, you know, with the characters in through your journey, because you talked about, you know, going to swap meets and, you know, just selling your artwork out of straight off the floor and just, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. You've had some interesting experiences with some iconic legends from Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, and all of them. Share with us some of those stories.
All right, man. If you want me to.
100%. I need you to. They need you to.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, here you go, guys. No, so actually what's really awesome about all of it is I have this ability to not know what's going on in culture.
Okay.
Like at all. Like, okay, you know, what's trending? Yeah. What's hot? What's popping? I don't necessarily, I'm always late to it.
Got you.
What's the meme? You know, I'm off social media like that.
Okay, got you. So the election just passed by you.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, cause peace of mind.
I got you.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I am ignoring anything. I see it all.
Yeah,
but my point is how it correlates to meeting some of these legends is that I only watch some certain things like to gain inspiration and understanding as to what it is I'm trying to do. That's why Image Comics to me is so powerful.
Yeah.
So I since I was maybe about 21, 22, I been addicted to understanding image and understanding how did I miss all of this stuff that I've seen my whole life.
Okay.
I've seen Spawn my whole life.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, go for it.
I've seen Spawn my whole life. He's the section of the comic book store I don't want to go in because those Spawn toys look scary. Yeah. I want to get Spider-Man. Spawn looks scary. Yeah. So that was the section you just don't go at. For me personally.
Got you.
In the comic book store. And then you just start seeing all these characters, the Darkness, Witchblade, you know, Wildcats, Cyberforce, Youngblood. And I go, how did I like miss all this? And guess what? It's made by the people that created all the dope X-Men's and Spider-Man's and all, you know what I mean? Yeah, the Deadpools.
I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, man, my cousin, what were we at San Diego Comic-Con? And he was like, oh man, you ever check out that Witchblade character? And I was like, man, I don't know nothing about Witchblade. He was like, what? How do you not know anything about Witchblade? And I'm like, man, they started breaking it down. I was like, shoot, that's literally something that I'd be into.
Fire.
But it's just one of those things I never would.
And that's comics and that's art. 30 years of a careers could pass by, and that's the moment it hit you. It was the day you saw Witchblade and go, what is this? Yeah. And then you read it and you're like, oh my God, I gotta have everything up. And it's been out since 92. Yeah. Dope. You know what I mean? Like fire. Yeah. I got shit. I got content. Yeah. It's like when you see a Netflix show and it's got seasons.
Exactly.
Yes.
Hey, sometimes, you know, it's like that. I like to catch on to something late.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, look, if everyone's a connoisseur, how are you going to build in this time period? How are you going to be able to consume everything that has come out?
Right. For decades.
I'm 27, bro. The Image days was when I was born. Yeah. I was born in life, and none of that shit mattered to me.
Right, exactly.
None of that shit mattered. But you know what kept me within the realm of wanting to catch what the Image shit was? My apologies. I don't know.
No, you good. You good.
Is the fact that Todd McFarlane created the design for Venom. Okay. My dad has been working since ever. Yeah. On a Venom makeup to then mask. He had the makeup, paint face, and then he started doing prosthetics. So like Venom to me is kind of for my pops and his work was his like way of trying to figure out what his art is by using Venom as a medium.
I got you.
He always work on something Venom. Always like I draw always Spider-Man. So because I can draw anything, but I always draw Spider-Man for me. Spider-Man. So that's Venom was that. And so when I realized that McFarlane had did the Venom, then I got introduced through McFarlane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my brother did have those NFL toys, the McFarlane toy statues, the Michael Vick. I remember Michael Vick was that before the dog fights and everything.
Yeah, he had
the career, but I just remember that he had this statue of Michael Vick.
Yeah,
for so long. You know what I'm saying? So that was McFarlane. Then you start realizing, like, damn, bro, Venom, Spider-Man. The Spider-Mans I like is big eye Spider-Mans.
Okay.
Creepy crawly.
That's what you like?
I like it that way. Okay. Bro. You know what I'm saying? And I go, whoa.
What is that? Ultimate Spider-Man? Or
I think it's just 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah, 90s,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ever since the 90s, they were able to change it.
I have a particular cover I'm thinking of where I'm looking at Spider-Man literally kind of like designed that way.
Yeah.
Big eyes and all that, like sliding down or like it looked like he's falling down like between buildings or whatever like that. And I'm gonna tell you, that was my least favorite one.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I like the Spider-Man that looked a bit jacked and like
for sure.
a bit aggressive. But I love it though.
Well, that's the thing is, and I think that's why to kind of bring it always back to the question is this was everyone I met throughout this last year and a half has had a different flavor of style of art. And I just pay attention to the entirety of this thing called Comix.
Yeah.
I pay attention to all of it, from Kirby to McFarlane, and those are two different cats and styles of art. People always will compare them of like, it's not Kirby.
Yeah.
Well, Kirby's to compare it to McFarlane, that's like basic. It's like for me, it matters that they both exist because I like both of it.
Right.
I like all types of art, bro. You might draw only in crayon, but if your like essence is vibes, and it matters, then I don't care if it's crayon.
Do you have an artist that you're looking at now and being like, oh man, I absolutely love this person's artwork right now?
Jason Sean Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a good little run for Spawn too, but he has a part in a comic book called Blackula and then Philadelphia.
Okay.
So he does all the artwork for Philadelphia.
Gotcha. And his name, what was it?
Jason Sean Alexander. 3 first names.
Gotcha. Exactly.
That guy has 3 first names, bro. I gotta tell him when I see him.
Yes,
pick a first name.
Right.
And so he's one of those ones because I can't achieve what he does. It's like Jim Lee. I'm not gonna try to achieve what he does.
Yeah.
Because that's like the most excellent bar of learning how to draw anatomy and it's perfect.
Yeah.
I can't draw perfect, but what I sure can do is involve all aspects of what I'm seeing and learning.
I feel it.
So Jason Sean is one of those ones that the standard's so high, never trying to be his work, just trying to appreciate it for what it is that he does. Because he's the one I watched on his YouTube one time where he dips ink in a toothbrush. I'm sure it's common knowledge, but it's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching him do it. And it creates this. It creates that Spawn piece that you saw. Yeah. It creates all that darkness. So yeah.
That's what's up. Right now, I think Kanan White, right now, anytime I see Kanan White's name attached to anything, I'm picking it up.
Hell yeah.
He did some work with Stranger Comics.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, so the Niobe book, I opened it up and I was like, this looks like Kanan White's art. And then he was like, oh yeah, Kanan White did the interiors for it. I was like, take the card, please. There you go. And then he's the art director for Rippaverse Comics.
Oh, okay.
And so it's interesting because Rippaverse Comics, when it first came out, and Eric July launched with the books ISOM, the art was okay. It wasn't the high point of the book. Of course, he wasn't the artist. He had a different artist working on it. He was the writer for it. And so, there was a level to it where people are like, I'm enjoying this, but I feel like at this point, we expect more. And so then Eric brought Kanan White on board, and he brought on like legends like Chuck Dixon.
Oh, okay.
And different, and Joe Bennett. He's working with the Saska sisters and all these like amazing talents now. And you just watched him, just like he surrounded himself. He was like, okay, I understand what my weak point is in this. And so I'm going to surround myself with people that are able to do it better.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And he elevated it to the moon, man. Right. But Kanan White's artwork, man, I'm going to tell you. And I told Eric July this too. Because he came out with one of his books that his current book that is, well, by the time this airs, the pre-order campaign will be over. But his book is called The Horseman. It's with Joe Bennett and Chuck Dixon.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of, if you know anything about Chuck Dixon, you've seen his work with The Punisher and like Batman and some iconic stories, right? Sure. And so him and Joe Bennett, they did the first book, Alpha Core, which was amazing. It has what I like to call bass drops in there. Okay. Even though there's no audio in comics or anything like that, obviously. But you know those big moments in comics, you know, where you'll see Superman like pull somebody and like all the way up in the sky and just slam them down. Those type of moments right there, I call them bass drops. Okay. There, where it's like because I'm a musician and a producer, right. I'm sitting there and I'm creating the score for this, and I'm like, what this would look like at that moment. And so the The Horseman, that book's coming out. Kanan White had been showing like, hey, I did some rough pencils for this. Yeah. And his rough pencils look immaculate. Right. I'm like, man, how in the world is this just rough? That's not just sketch up. So I remember I took one, I threw it in my the photo editor, and I put it on a t-shirt and put the name of the character, and I posted it and I sent it to Eric July and I said, make this a shirt for the campaign before it comes out. Yeah. And he just liked it or reposted it. And, you know, there's people liking it and all that stuff. And it was funny because when the campaign started, lo and behold, what happens? I see Kanan White's artwork designed exactly the way that I had did the shirt, except for the text was a little different because I just used a stock one on there for it. And I was telling him, I said, I'm taking credit for that piece. He said, you can. Yeah. You can take credit for it. He was like, I have no problem with you taking credit for that. And I was like, let's go. But it's just one of those things, like, right. You know, you have the artists like my cousin. When he found out about you doing the work with Jim Lee, he was like, yo, that is his favorite artist right there. Hell yeah, in comics. He was like, man, that right there. He was like, man, I wish I could be there just to, you know, just be in the same room with that guy. It's like, it's on another level. It's really a ton of fun. But going back, rewinding a little bit, tell me about your first experience meeting Todd.
So Todd McFarlane was a really dope one because he's the one I pay the most attention to. What people call his cockiness, I call my like greatest inspiration.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and I don't have that look that it's cocky. So I don't take it in like, that's how you should act. Mm-hmm. I take it in, that's how he can act. Yeah. That's how he has decided to do this. And he has a lot of love and heart in what he does. And you can see it. I don't care if the character is a demon / angel from hell. Yeah. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Bro, you can see like the love of comic books in these comics. So McFarlane was the kind of the North Star I was looking for. So I was actually set up outside of Comic-Con with my character Z's life-size statue. You guys got to see it. Yeah. My dad made that out of paper.
That's what's up.
That's crazy. We put that onto a trolley, and we had that trolley take us all the way down to the convention center. We popped that up on the side corner. Nice. And I was literally stopping people that had costumes and little kids and stuff. I'm like, you know this guy? And they're like, oh, yeah. You know, some people lie. Some people are like, no, tell me about it. And so I built that character Z. The character Z, I built his essence that day at Comic-Con. Yeah. Because my dad, he made that out of paper within a month. When it was done, before I painted it, I'm standing in front of my character, and there was a part of me that wanted to let go of this character and say, man, I don't think it's going to become anything. I gotcha. When I saw the character standing in front of me, I cried tears, and I was like, man, whatever happens at Comic-Con, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in, but I know it's going to be dope. Yeah. And what ended up happening was a friend, Les De Los Santos, he gave me his pass that Friday to go in. And so I got to go in there. I had maybe about an hour 45 of time to really kind of do something. And I run in right into Rob Liefeld. right in the very beginning. It's the first person I actually bumped into.
Gotcha.
My bad, sir. And I look, oh my God, man, thank you so much what you do. Wolverine and Deadpool just saw the picture for it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Congratulations. Thank you for your contribution. Can I give you my portfolio? He looked confused for 2 seconds. Yeah. What do you mean? You're going to give me a whole book? No, here's a flyer with pieces that I've done. Yeah. And so my wife has artwork on there. And I go, yeah, my wife, she's like the next Da Vinci. She's Michelangelo.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So people at her, what she's doing, all the good stuff's her.
Yeah.
Boom, gave it to him, right?
Like,
I literally realized there's a line of people waiting for him. So I like accidentally bumped into him.
Right. And got to cut all those other people.
Just right before he got to the booth, I was so confused where I was. Comic-Con's crazy big.
Yeah, 100%.
So anyhow, I see that. I go down Artist Alley because that's kind of where I was at. I entered at. I see a friend named Tony Brown. He's the reason I actually felt the energy to just make it happen with comic books.
Okay.
We had one conversation about 2 years ago, 2022 at Designer Con. I met him at the very end. I was packing up my stuff and we just started talking, whatever. He goes, can you walk with me? Because I got to go get my stuff. So I was asking, like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a comic book artist. I was like, oh, comic book artist?
Yeah.
I want to become one. And so I had this, I gave him like my little prompt of like what me.
Yeah.
And then he just gave me this conversation. Tony Brown, he gave me this conversation while walking like a movie. And I just stared at him. I didn't even see where I was walking. I believe that he let me know something's coming up.
Yeah.
I just stared at him. I was watching him say this stuff, and he just told me everything I needed to know.
Nice.
To start.
Nice.
Get out of your own way. And so fast forward, I see Tony Brown, and I see him, and I go, "Hey man, what's up, dude?" Like, I gave him an original of Z, and he's like, "Man, you're really doing it. You know, everything you want, you're gonna get it. You resonate with people because you're authentic." He goes, I appreciate you.
That's up.
He's like, I don't know if Todd's here yet. The image booth is right down that way, straight down that way. Points me.
Okay.
That's the universe. Okay, cool. Boom. Bye, Tony. The person who helped me get here.
Yeah.
Mentally, spiritually.
Yeah.
Boom. I see the image booth, big logos, cool. All the spawn shit, cool. Lo and behold, there's Todd McFarlane looking like the era that he's gonna be in for me to get hired.
Yeah.
Like, this is how he looked when I got hired. That's how I was looking at it. I was like, you got a goatee and shit. You never see Todd McFarlane with a goatee.
Right.
He has goatee. He was different looking, bro. I was like, oh shit, bro. He kind of reminds me of like Stan Lee right now, his essence. And so anyways, I see him and I see this line. People kind of nicely point me to the line. Mind you, bro, like this took like maybe about 2 hours. I was supposed to not be in there for that long.
Yeah.
No one calls me to get the pass back. So anyhow, I don't have any money in my pocket, and I'm in a line to buy something to get signed. Buy something that I don't have any money in my pocket to go pay for the signing.
Yes.
So I'm in the line, and I get a ding for a freaking order.
Okay.
And I get a ding while I'm broke as hell. I just went in that line and go, you know what? I'm broke. I pretended like I was going to buy something. I picked it out, pretended. And I go, you know what? And then it didn't work. And I go, oh, that's weird. Oh, I'm just $1 short. No money in my account. Not $1 in my account. It's that broke, bro.
I got you.
I get a ding, boom, an order. It's immediate. I have it. Oh, shit. I buy a comic book because my friend, he pulls up right next to me while I'm in line for the second time. He goes, hey, man, do me a favor, give me a comic book. I'm like, what's up, Abe? Cool. I was by myself. Now I'm not. He goes, give me this comic. I go, cool, I'll get myself one too. I get it. I see it's not signed, and I say to Todd McFarlane's assistant, because I was talking. I was just I gave her artwork to give to Todd, and she goes, "This is amazing. Yeah, I'll give it to him." Boom, boom. She put the night spawn Kickstarter on top of that artwork, and I had felt like that was a really, because they hadn't even put out yet.
Okay.
And I was looking at this action figure. I love action figures. I'm looking at this action figure. I'm like, oh my God, I wrote my artworks underneath like unreleased. You know, I'm insane that way. You give me a platform to dream.
I got you.
So I go, hey, Bonnie, like, I noticed this doesn't have any signatures. How do you get into a signature? Like I said earlier, I'm broke. Am I out of luck? And she goes, we got you. All right. She got me, put me in the line, access. I get there. I'm still nervous. I'm almost there. I get there and I'm still super nervous. And And I go, hey, is it okay to his assistant? Her assistant goes, for you, you're good. I go, what do you mean for me? In my mind, what do you mean for me? Who am I?
I love it.
I walk up to Todd, dude, and what I'm noticing is he two things he signs. Looks up, or looks up, knuckles, back down to signing, on to the next person.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. It's gonna just be a little quick thing.
Yeah.
I get up there, get in the comic book, and I go, I'm gonna work for you very soon, sir. My name is Zander. And he stops signing. He just looks up, and he goes, okay, what are you gonna do for me? And I go, I can pencil, I can ink, I can do all that digitally, I can color too, but most importantly, I'm gonna change the way comic books look like on the shelves and how people experience it. A friend behind me gives me a flyer that I gave him, gives me back that flyer to give him, boom, like so, shoom.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him, and I go, my wife is the next Michelangelo reincarnated. That's her work right there, all the good stuff. I'm right down there below. Don't worry about it. You'll see me. Right? Yeah. And it was just like, because I've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And he goes, he shoots his hand right in my face, dude, like Todd. Boom, like that. And he's like this close to me. And he goes, you might just be the next one. And I go, I am. And he goes, I believe you. And I said, thank you for your contribution. Because of people like you, I'm able to come here and talk to you and be a comic book artist amongst my own self and feel good amongst that. Because without you guys, there would have been no platform to even be an artist.
Right.
And he just was like, thank you. That was the first time. That was last year, 2023, San Diego Comic-Con. Shouldn't have been there. But here's the kicker to that. I run into the editor of Spawn right after that moment. Okay. I recognize him from social media, Thomas Healy. But someone 6 months prior at an event, it was at a brewery, Hobnobbins Brewery. Okay. He did inking for Spawn back in the 90s. He goes, you know who you need to look for? Thomas Healy. He's the editor of Spawn now. Okay. Look him up. Lo and behold, the universe brings Thomas Healy to my view on social media. We've had some back and forth because of my work. Yeah. But then I see him and I go, Thomas, like I know him. I go, Thomas. And he goes, oh, hey, what's up, man? And I go like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I couldn't believe that he just like casual was like, what's up, man? Yeah, you. I know. And I go, if you have some time, And he goes, you know what? Sunday, I'm going to have the most time. So come here early on Sunday. Yeah. I'm not telling him I don't have a pass. Right. I'm not telling him.
Not at all. Figure that out later.
I go, you're right. I'll be right there too. Sunday comes around, bro. I got lucky. My brother-in-law, he gave me a pass. And I didn't even know he was going. His family, his wife's family was going. So he had a pass and he gave me it for Sunday. Nice. I was there early in the morning, bro. And I was so scared and nervous. I felt like I was going to throw up. Lo and behold, who's in front of me? No one is outside of the convention center but me, a homeless man right here, and Kevin Eastman, the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm all, whoa, dude. And I go, as he's approaching me, because he's walking across the street, he's approaching me and he goes, and I go, hey, man, I appreciate your contribution to this thing. You're one of the best in independent. And he just was like, thank you. Didn't stop walking. I shook his hand for 2 seconds. Didn't stop walking, but he just kept on looking back like, well, what is that? And I go, bro, you are making me do that. Yeah. You're making me go, what is going on right now? Because I didn't say, yo, Kevin, I'm your biggest fan. Yeah. I didn't want too much of it. I just wanted to say thank you. Yeah. So that moment I was like, wow, that's special. Boom. Still feeling nervous. But a ultimate Spawn fan that I met in line 2 days prior, he comes out of nowhere and he's like, Xander, hey man, I just want to let you know, like, seriously, like, you're doing it. He goes, I submitted myself to Marvel one time and I gave up when they rejected me. He goes, when I found out Todd McFarlane got rejected hundreds of times, and he never stopped. He goes, that was the first time I realized I messed up. He goes, but now I'm seeing you all these years later being the next to come. He goes, that makes me so happy. I let go of my regret. He goes, "You're the next comic book artist.
Let's go."
I gave him a Spawn art, that one right there.
I got you.
I signed it for him. And I go, wow, what a blessing right before I'm about to call a meeting with the Spawn editor.
Right.
I didn't get the job, bro. You know what I mean? But he gave me an hour of his time.
100%.
He told me, hey, man, you're too bright. You're too colorful. Like everything I am.
Yeah.
He said, for Spawn, we can't have that.
I got you.
And I go, okay, cool. That piece that you saw over there, I was starting to draw the most grittiest shit that I could come up with in my mind. Jason Sean Alexander was the one Thomas pointed me to that day.
Okay.
He said, go check him out. He's the sequential art god.
Gotcha.
He's the one. He could tell a story no matter. It doesn't matter. He could tell that story.
I love it.
So go over there, and I got pointed over in an artistic direction, and it changed my life. So that grittiness came from that experience, because you're telling me you want Spawn to essentially not be seen on the paper. Yeah. I'm going to show you how I can make that happen.
I got you.
And so fast forward, we're at Comic-Con again, but we're way different. Yeah. We're much different as a human being. As a person, entity. Zander 6 Comics has an official tour attached to it.
Nice.
We've been inside of comic book shops. That character has been drawn on chalkboards at comic book shops. Yeah. No comic book needed. I'm taking myself and comic book artists to these shops in between the cons.
Right.
I'm starting to do more smaller cons. And I still have the idea that when I drop this book, it's going to be powerful. I don't need a comic book this year. I want one. Yeah. But I don't need it.
Right.
So here's fast forward to San Diego Comic-Con 2024. And not only meet Todd again, but this was the last day. Before that, I run into Thomas. I run into so many artists that did stuff for Spawn. And I run into so many different legends that I can't really name off the top, other than Mark Silvestri, because that was the most impactful one. Okay. Because he...
Mr.
In my opinion, what was that?
I said Mr. Witchblade.
Yes, sir. Yes. Witchblade, Darkness, and a gentleman named Royce had put me on to Darkness at a thing called G.I. Joe Con. Oh, nice. Little convention, but it was cool. He put me on to Darkness. Like, you would like Darkness. I'm like, okay, cool. Mark Silvestri then becoming a main focal point, because I'm seeing the art, I'm seeing the work, I'm seeing what it is. Top Cows, like, it's starting to make more sense to me what it was, you know, that there's different degrees at these studios of level of not just artistic integrity, but like also integrity to comics. Yeah. Witchblade is that example how like the craft it matters. The art is beautiful beyond belief. Spawn, the artwork is beautiful beyond belief. Yes. So Silvestri is one of those ones. He could draw women the best, in my opinion. I gotcha. He draws women. Campbell like came from that elk. Yeah. Or ilk. It doesn't touch, and there's no dig at nobody, but for me, my legends, my gods, I got you. It doesn't touch what Mark Silvestri does with the female, not just the face, but the body and everything, the elegance, the energy that comes around it. And it's funny because Witchblade can be like seen as the lowest common denominator of, you know, our male instincts and shit, because she's basically naked. Yeah. But I go, there's something special about that. He made energy flow as her costume. Right. So anyways, I'm in front of him now, serendipitously. I'm waiting this little line, bro, tiny line for Mark Silvestri. I was like, because it just opened up. We just happened to walk there, and then boom, I look behind me. It's a fucking huge line. I'm like, dude, oh my God, we've been there hours. Right. I'm not trying to consume
too much of his time and all.
Or just the cons. I'm not trying to consume the way everyone's there for.
Gotcha.
I'm there on a different. Yes, sir. Yes. And so I think Mark for what he does and his contribution. Again, that's always my go-to, because if I die, I just want the people that inspire me to know like your contribution meant the most. Yeah. And I said, you know, you draw women the best. I have a couple pieces. If you have it, these are the originals. It's just like my example of me trying to, you know, bring that essence. I gave it to him. He goes, you got to sign it. I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm signing this artwork, bro. And like, I'm like putting it together and we're just talking. And I go, what's some advice you can, you know, part on to me? And he goes, because I put this down. That was my secret sauce. Okay. Was this action figure. I had him on me everywhere I went. Gosh. And I put it on the table, and he goes, that's a cool little guy. And I go, yeah, man. He's actually not a superhero. He's an artist. He goes, oh, for real? And it kind of started that thing. I told him a little bit, and he goes, that's really cool, man. That's really cool. And then he goes, can I tell you some advice after I'd asked? And he goes, I'll tell you something. No one's going to care about that more than you. He's like, no one's going to do it.
Gotcha.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You could articulate the vision all the way down to the T.
Yeah.
But no one's going to do it. You got to do it.
100%.
And I was like, damn, bro, I need that from you right now, personally. From
it's like when my dad used to tell me, as soon as I turned 18, my dad told me, he said, nothing happens unless you make it happen.
Yes, sir.
It's like, all right.
Yes, sir.
It's like, hey, that's the message you give to a young man who just got to a point. He's like, now you're at a point now. That's why it cracks me up when I get kids to coming into like the stores and all that stuff. And they're like, hey, mom, I want to buy, I want you to get me this. I want you to do that. And I'm like, man, you kind of old for that.
Right.
For your parents be doing that for you.
Right.
For you. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. Everybody got their thing, but
everyone's got their own path and everything else, man. And
that's some iconic. That's some great advice.
It was the best because again, everything that they told me, these individuals, Mark, it was one of those things where at the end I got to say, you know, because of individuals like you, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
Hoping one day to float on my own.
Man, it's going to
fly.
It's going to happen too. Because you never know. Like I said, I always come back to this just because I'm a fan myself, but just because I feel like his story is inspirational for so many others. I always go back to Eric July. I watched that dude for years before he started his comic book company. He started and he would just be talking about comics and he would just talk about pop culture stuff and all that. When it started to take this weird turn, he would criticize different things. And people were like, man, you criticize all this stuff. Why don't you do anything? Why don't you do something yourself? And, you know, he's like, well, I'm not an artist or whatever like that. Then he's like, you know what? Fine then. Let's do it. Takes $200,000 of his own money and invests that into publishing his own comic book, hires an artist and all that stuff. Thing sells for $3.7 million within 3 months.
Damn.
Makes $3.7 million. Takes that, reinvests it back into the business. Now he launched Ripperverse, right? He reinvests that, comes out with the second book. The second book does millions of dollars. Takes that. Now they're hiring people full time. Now they got a warehouse. The company is less than 3 years old, has made over $10 million, has hired the likes of Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, has work done by all kinds of legends, has a figure coming out by McFarlane Toys, by Iron, whatever, I can't think, I always forget the second name, the second company that's doing another one of their comics. Consistently hired the legend Kanan White as the art director for the company.
Right.
In less than 3 years.
Right. From
just somebody that said, you know what, I'm going to take the risk and do this. And it resonated with the people.
Right.
And you never know. So it's like a lot of times people say, oh no, that, you know, the days of comics blowing up and doing this type of thing, that's gone or whatever like that. Obviously not.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and it's like, when he has a book, like I got a cart right now. I got like 3-4 books in my cart right now from his company. When they're putting out like 8 books in a year. And I'm like, man, and you go from, because I know we were talking about Kickstarters before and the kind of the culture behind Kickstarters and why people sometimes are slow to back them. And it hurts in the independent market because I know myself personally, I've been burned before where it's like, hey, I waited months, almost a year for this book to come out.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. You don't want to, or you find out that, see, this is the one that irritates me, is when I've backed a project and then before I get the product, I no longer want the project or the product because that creator has shown themselves to be unworthy of it. Mm-hmm. When, like I said, when Eric July blew up the way he did, he created enemies because you have vets in the industry that are independent that feel some type of way about it. And so then what do? They start to lash out, create lies and hate campaigns and all that kind of stuff. Look it up. You'll see it. You'll see it. Some of the most wild stuff, stalking him, going to ancestors' grave sites, trying to troll him and all that kind of stuff, trying to take this online kind of beef stuff and bring it into real life. And it becomes very messy. And he's like, all because people get intimidated and they don't like what you do. Because there's a lot of different elements when it comes to creativity. It's all fun and games, but like people like Todd McFarlane will say and all that, it can get messy sometimes. but the passion and sticking to, this is what I'm in it for. Yeah. That's what I'm sticking to. Let the buzzards and the vultures and all that kind of circle around and try to distract you and all that type of stuff. But staying true to your passion and what you got going on and what inspired you to create in the first place. That's what's going to resonate the most with people. Yeah. That's what they're going to love. That's what they're going to take away from it. That's what you want to stick to them. So real quick, I want you to tell me, you got something big coming up tomorrow. Well, yes, sir. It's tomorrow now, but yes, sir. Tell me about it.
All right, man. So I'm going to be doing, my apologies. I got to get
you good, man. Get comfortable because this right here, you got an iconic moment right here.
Yeah, no, I can't say it without having a crazy smile on my face, but I'm going to be doing an event of a Jim Lee signing event. He'll be there from 12 to 3 at Ninja Exchange. I'm going to be tabling at that event. So I won't necessarily be right next to him, but I'm going to be in the vicinity of the event alongside his inker, alongside his colorist, Sinclair, Scott Williams, the inker, and then his son will also be there as well, independent comic creator. So, and then there's a slew of special guests, but I'm going to be a part of a Jim Lee signing.
Nice.
I'm debuting 3 covers for a comic book called Dream Killers, brought to you by That Spider-Man booth, one of the top streamers for Whatnot. So they create comic books. Ninja Funk is one of those books. Dream Killers is this new one. And I did a few covers early this summer for this book, and they're finally being released, at least 3 of them. And this is technically my debut into comic books. Yeah. Truly. Went from independent. I created comic books. I created little ash can stuff of music videos, stuff that had already been created. I just kind of storyboarded it and drew it my way.
I gotcha.
And so I've created comic books since I was a little kid, but this is the first one that it will be printed with my artwork on it. Yeah. It's not my book. And, it's really going to be out there in stores. It's going to be available for people to buy. So
man, that's awesome.
It's my debut. So
that's awesome.
That paired up with Jim Lee, president, chief editor of DC Comics.
Yeah.
Who also, Jim Lee is one of those ones that was the best in Marvel.
Yeah.
At one point, left Marvel, helped create Image.
Yeah.
Has some of the greatest freaking independent comics there was.
I love it.
Transition that into DC and then look at the heights that he's taken it to.
Right.
So he's all 3 in my eyes. He's comic books.
I gotcha.
How you do it with not only poise, but appreciation and honor.
I love it.
He does that with that. So that's why I'm very excited that this is going to be that experience for tomorrow, is because Jim Lee represents being the top tier of comic books.
I love it, man. Sounds super exciting.
Yes, sir.
Super exciting. I'm super excited to check out the work though. I'm like, I want to see those covers, man. I want to see all that. Like Dream Killers, right?
Yes, sir. Dream Killers.
Dream Killers, man. I love it. I love watching artists, man. Watching your dreams come true. Your vision, and it takes work to get to do anything. Right. Really, it takes work to elevate past a certain point. Because if you stay and you say, okay, this is as far as I go. If you limit yourself mentally, that's as far as you're gonna go.
Right.
But you keep grinding, you keep putting in that work, and it's paying off. So before we wrap up, tell me, I got some buddies here.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about Buddies.
So Buddies is my first toy line. I went to DesignerCon, like I said earlier, 2022, got really inspired, said to myself, I need to do comic books, I need to do toys. And throughout that time, I developed Buddies. And as simple as it is, it's something very special, and it has a lot of energy and meaning to it. So friends may come and go, as we know. Buds always go too quickly.
Yeah.
And these guys, they stay for life. So this is me trying to supply people with a friend. Now, this variation is the reason we even got Buddies is because he's based off cannabis.
Okay, yeah.
So he's a little nug. He's a plastic nug.
I gotcha.
Buddies is going to transcend beyond cannabis, he can be anything. It can be anything. And so I'm going to start diving into that. But what's cool about these guys and the hit that it has had is the blind bags, as you guys got to experience. The blind bags, people don't get to see what is in there. There's variation of colors. Right now we only have green, but there's variation of colors. We have the purple, we have the golden chase, different things for people to win. And so people are very excited about these when they see them, because it's like a fun interaction. Yeah,
that's fun, man. That's fun. So it has to feel good to have a toy essentially out there, and have people being able to take something physical that you've created, and they take that, they cherish that, it means something to them, and then also to know your journey and your vision and your story for what you have going on. Man, it has to feel good being on this, like I said at the very beginning, this positive trajectory where it's the sky's the limit for you.
Most definitely, man. No, it's actually unreal, if I could be frank about it.
Yeah.
I mention a lot of times to people that the last 2 years, and I go, but the 8 years prior to that was something else, and the fact that I'm here and I have these certain accomplishments, at least to myself, I can think about, is absolutely insane. Because when I was packaging these up, my wife, she hand paints all the buddies, and so she actually hand sculpted, painted all the original prototypes that we sold last year.
Nice.
We were selling sculpty clay ones that you have to bake so that they harden.
Oh wow.
And we were doing hand painted stuff, and so with this, it was like after she painted all of them, I was bagging them. After like 100 of them, I've bagged. And then it started clicking to me. I go, oh my God, this is my own toy.
Yeah.
Whoa. and it's like, I made sure that you could see his face, in the bag if you were to open it up and look like that. Yeah. I did that with all of them. And I was like, just that part was precious to me.
That's awesome.
This was like 3 a.m. I'm just all put them in, and it was for LA Comic-Con. And I mean, we got rid of so many of those there, man. It changed my life.
Yeah.
It changed my life, man.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. A ton of fun, man.
Thank you.
Fun. I'm loving watching everything you got going on.
I appreciate it.
So tell the people, how can they support you on this journey?
So I guess, guys, this is the one thing that I'll tell you is I don't have links. I don't have a bunch of stuff that you guys I don't have Kickstarters, and it doesn't mean I have anything against any of it. It's I'm here in person.
Yeah.
I got Instagram. That's my social media.
Okay.
Now, the only reason I have Instagram is because I was in high school with an Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's my only way of articulating something through social media. How you can support me is check out the events that I'm doing. I know we didn't get to talk too much about the tour because I ramble, but I have events that I put together, myself and comic book artists, alike. I know I said a little bit about it, but those events,
wait, hold on. Come to those. Tell us a little bit about the tour.
The tour?
The Zander tour.
So the Zander 6 Comics tour is my attempt to get into all the comic book shops, so that by the time the comic book comes out, I'm in shops in your neighborhood.
Gotcha.
But what it ended up turning into was a platform for artists alike,
right,
to have a place where they could be inside of a comic book shop, sell their comics or draw or whatever have you. And I've had some really amazing talent. One of the ones that I wanted to feature was Kevin Tran. He did this piece of my character holding the buddies.
Gotcha.
This was an LA Comic-Con exclusive.
Okay.
He did a few of my shows this year. And so again, it's a place for artists to have somewhere to go. The swap meet and these night markets and these street markets, they have a cap.
Yeah.
They have a limit to where you could take it. Even if you if you think you could take it further, do you want to do the swap meet forever? Do you want to be popping up at street fairs forever?
Right.
Or would you like to go to Comic-Cons?
Yeah.
And would you like to position your life so that you don't have to be the one who builds your booth? You could be the one who just shows up at this table. All the stuff you need is right there. That's the comic books we're selling. Those are the pens I'm using. I got my people right here. Cool. And that's kind of my essence is what I'm trying to do. So before that comes, I'm putting all this work in this tour, creating events at least twice a month. They're all comic book based. They're all in the shops that you guys know and love.
Nice.
We're going from here, San Diego, to all the way to LA, and eventually we're going to take it state to state.
Nice.
I did the biggest one I did was the Hopnonymous San Diego Comic Fest fundraiser.
Yeah,
this was a label that I designed for that festival.
Nice
fundraiser, and it was a big street fair mixed with a Comic-Con. So it was outdoors.
Okay,
we had talking panels with literally people who created stuff for Star Wars, Image Comics, Marvel, people working for Sonic, writers, artists, all that. And they're just talking to people and the artists that are there who are trying to be something. We had 35 plus artists at this event. And it was the biggest one I put together. And I did that with a friend, Matt Dunford, who is actually, if I didn't plug Matt Dunford, would be a dishonor, because he's the reason and essence as to why I've stayed motivated in this thing, because he is a real fan. He's a real supporter of comics, the culture.
Gotcha.
He loves it for the essence of it. He's a purist, like we were talking about how you are with movies. He's a purist with this culture.
Gotcha.
And everything he has seen and looked at my stuff with and showed up for my stuff has been the indicator that I'm on the right path. And this is a 1 in a million types of person out here.
Nice.
But there's so many people who have that same passion and entity that you need to go and talk to and connect with. So Matt Dunford, the coolest thing we did this year was we teamed up on a fundraiser event for San Diego Comic Fest. He brought the culture. I brought the street fair. I made the street fair. I made the event. He made the panel. He brought the people.
Nice.
I brought some people too, but he really is tapped in with the culture.
That's what I'm saying.
Matt Dunford, that was my favorite thing we got to do. The tour it's over after this event. So next, tomorrow is the last event. I did 22 events that are comic book related, not necessarily that I created. So I did 22 events, cons, and then most of them are shows that I made at the comic book shops. The 23rd event is going to be Jim Lee. Nice. That's my magic number. You know what I'm saying? I got you. 23. Yes, sir. So it's the fact that I'm going to be in the same vicinity of the president and chief editor of DC Comics is crazy. I told you guys off camera the story of how I met him the year prior. And he signed my flyer for one of my events. And I'm going to show him that and go, hey, man, look, I posted this up on our wall during the event. I go, this is a blessing. This is a blessing by the comic book gods. And now I'm here in front of you with my artwork debuting into comics.
Man, I love it. I love it. I got to work on your online presence. I need some people to be able to connect with you.
Most definitely. I mean, here's the thing, bro, and not to say that there is no online presence. My in-person presence is it matches with the online thing that you see on social media.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you. And I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that. I got you. This is what we do. I absolutely love working with creatives and helping you take that vision and that idea and your passion and everything. It just helps you take that to that next level.
Yes, sir.
And, when we can all support each other and that's what really causes this industry and creativity to thrive.
Yes, sir. And
it's a beautiful thing. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story. And I'm telling you guys, check out Xander 6 Comics, all the events, his upcoming project. You have a release period for that?
So December 21st, we're doing a release party. And again, that's the way I like to do it. I'm going to bring it to the people, but I'm also going to bring a party. December 21st, Hopnonymous will be the release party location. And we will have the physical copies there.
Nice.
We're going to have a beer label that looks exactly like the comic book cover.
Awesome.
And so much more.
This is about to be great, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm loving it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of Icon Presents. It's been such a great conversation. Man, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love comics. As you can tell, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of yourself. I'm a fan of the industry. I love what's going on and everything that you got going on. So be sure to check out iconpresentspodcast.com for updates, our newsletter. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share it out there. Let's get as many eyes on as many creative projects as we possibly can. Thank you guys so much again. Y'all take care.